Most people talk about Florida homeowners insurance from the outside. They talk about premiums, they talk about roof claims, they talk about lawsuits, they talk about the roofers, public adjusters, the attorneys, and the insurance claims. But I saw this from the inside firsthand. I got back into insurance adjusting in 2017, right when Hurricane Irma hit Florida. That was my entry point back into the claims world, and it gave me a front row seat to how chaotic things can get after a major storm. And before I go any further, I want to be clear about something. This series isn't about bashing every insurance company. It is not about saying every adjuster's bad. And it's not about pretending roofers are innocent either. There are good people on every side of this. There are good adjusters. There are good managers. There are good insurance companies. There are good roofers. There are good public adjusters. And there are good attorneys. But there are also broken systems. And when broken systems get hit with the volume of a major hurricane, the cracks show up fast. When I started working Irma claims, the environment was chaos. Claims were coming in faster than people could process them. There was not enough experienced people. Systems were not where they needed to be. Training was limited. Expectations were not always clear. And the main goal, especially early on, was very simple. Get claims moving. Make contact with the homeowner, get the inspection scheduled, get the estimate written, get the file moving forward. And on one hand, I understand why. After a storm, homeowners need help. People have damage, people have leaks, people are scared. People want answers. Insurance companies are getting flooded with calls, emails, new claims, reopened claims, complaints, and pressure from every direction. So yes, speed does matter. But here's the problem. Speed and accuracy are not the same thing. And in catastrophe claims, when the volume gets high enough, quality can unfortunately take a back seat to movement. And that is where the issue begins. Because catastrophe claims aren't that simple. You're not just looking at a property and saying, yep, damage, or nope, no damage. You have to understand the policy, you have to understand the deductible, you have to understand depreciation. You have to understand what is storm damage versus, say, wear and tear. You have to understand building codes. You have to understand repairability. You have to understand matching issues. You have to understand whether materials are discontinued, and you have to understand what needs to be paid now, what may be owed later, and what's not covered at all. That takes training, that takes experience, and that takes oversight. After a catastrophe, the industry often tries to solve the volume problem by putting bodies in the seats. Now, I understand why that happens. You can't just keep an unlimited number of experienced adjusters just sitting around all year just in case the hurricane hits. That's not realistic. But the problem is when you bring people in quickly, train them quickly, and assign them complicated claims quickly, mistakes are gonna happen. Some people will pay things that they should not pay. Some people will deny things that should not be denied. Some people will write estimates too low because they do not know what they're missing. Some people will write the estimates too high because they don't know how to control the scope. Some people will just try to close files because that's just how they keep their numbers looking good. And that's not always because they're bad people. Sometimes it's because they're sitting inside a bad system. That was one of the biggest lessons I learned early on. A lot of people think it's a character problem, but it's actually a system problem. You take someone who's undertrained and then overload them with claims. Give them unclear expectations, put them in a weak system, and then judge them mostly by how fast they move files. And in my opinion, you should not be shocked when the results are inconsistent. And that inconsistency matters because insurance is supposed to be based on the policy. The same type of damage under the same type of policy should be handled in a consistent way. But in reality, that's not how it always feels. Sometimes it depends on the adjuster, sometimes it depends on the manager, and sometimes it depends on the company. Sometimes it depends on how overwhelmed the claims department is. Sometimes it depends if the claim's being watched closely or just being pushed through the system. When that happens on thousands and thousands of claims, the cost does not just disappear. It shows up somewhere, and it shows up in supplements, it shows up in disputes, it shows up in litigation, it shows up in reopened claims, it shows up in frustrated homeowners, it shows up in contractors getting involved, it shows up in public adjusters getting involved, it shows up in attorneys getting involved, and eventually, unfortunately, it shows up in premiums. This is one of the biggest things homeowners need to understand. When claims are mishandled at scale, everybody pays for it eventually. Even the homeowner who never filed a claim. because insurance is just a big pool of risk. If the cost of claims in your area go up, if the carrier's losses go up, if the cost to handle claims go up, if litigation goes up, if reinsurance costs go up, the pressure eventually makes its way back into the market, and the homeowner sees it, unfortunately, as higher premiums. That is why this story actually matters, because the conversation around Florida insurance usually gets reduced to one simple explanation. It was the roofers. It was the attorneys. No, it was the public adjusters. No, it was the insurance companies. It was fraud. It was lawsuits. And the truth is, actually, all of those things played a role. But what I saw from the inside, that the insurance side had its own responsibility too. If the initial claim handling is poor, the problem doesn't just go away. It gets delayed. If an estimate is incomplete, somebody has to deal with it later. If the claim's underpaid out the gate, the homeowner is most likely gonna have to file a supplement claim and fight them later after the fact. And on the front end, if the claim gets overpaid, well, that additional cost, it gets absorbed into the system. If the wrong people are put into the wrong seats without the right training, that creates consequences. And if leadership keeps choosing speed over quality, eventually the bill comes due. That was my first major lesson inside the claims machine. The system was not built to calmly and accurately handle that level of chaos. It was just simply built to move. And movement is important, but movement without accuracy, we can't agree, does create a mess. And that mess, unfortunately, is part of how Florida got here. In the next chapter, I want to talk about what happened after those initial claims were written. Because a lot of people hear the word supplement and immediately think somebody is trying to inflate the claim. And sometimes that's true. But a lot of times, the actual case is that supplement exists because the initial claim or initial estimate unfortunately did not tell the whole story. And that, my friends, is where the next part of the problem begins. And I'll see you in chapter 2.